Hey there, YouTube. Plains Prepper here. Today we're going to talk about ham radio communication and more specifically how to get your ham radio technician's license and how to do it for free. Um, a lot of these guides are pretty easy to find with a Google search, but I know when I was first getting into ham radio, there's a few that I did not find until after I actually got my license or went to a ham radio meeting, so I thought I'd go over those. One thing that I'm not going to go over in this video is the benefits of having your ham radio license or just having a ham radio in general. If you found this video and you're a prepper, you've probably decided that, hey, communications is something I need to get into. And there's also a lot of other great videos out there about radio communication and how to use it. I know Southern Prepper 1 has a whole slew of videos on their radio SOPs and what radios they use and such like that. Just basically go over getting your technician's license, which will get you in the door. I know some people, I am myself included, feel kind of antsy about getting your license because it does mean you are in a database somewhere, but you can't really practice with your radio without the license. So it's really just not an option to get the radio but not have the license. Because if you have a piece of equipment and you can't use it, then there's no point in having that piece of equipment. So let's get started here. The first resource I'm going to recommend is KB6NU's ham radio blog. He's got a lot of really good information on here, but the thing I want to direct you to is the free PDF version of his no-nonsense technician's license study guide. He has pretty much all the questions answered in this book, and they're done in a way that you can read through the book and learn the answers to the questions as you go. This is a good way to study for the practice tests, and that's the next thing we're going to talk about. Okay, the next thing we're talking about is practice tests. This is pretty much the easiest way to study for the ham radio test, is just to go out and take these practice tests over and over again until you pass every one. Generally, they say you want to get to where you can pass it about a 90% pass rate, and then you're usually ready to take the test. I know when I took my test, I was only passing with like 85s and 90s, but I did manage to get 100% on my actual test to get my license, so it all worked out. The first one I went to is hamstudy.com or .org, and the thing I really like about hamstudy.org is that you can sign up and create a login so that it shows you what questions you've seen and what questions you haven't seen, and then also what questions you miss most often. So if you need to, you can go to the flashcard mode and just study on an area that you miss a lot of questions in until eventually you can get to where you can pass every section of the test with no problem. Your ham radio test is going to be about 35 questions for the technician's test, and they're all chosen from the same database that the practice test questions are pulled from. The next place that I went to, and I recommend taking as many practice tests as you can in as many different locations, because all the questions are the same, but sometimes they're worded a little bit differently, and that can really help. This is QRZ.com. By the way, if you ever have a call sign you find you want to look up, this is the place to do it. You have to create a login here in order to get to the practice test. But if you go to resources and practice test, this is where once you've logged in, you'll find the practice test for technician, general, and extra. I believe hamstudy.org also has those. The next one is eham.net. This is another one that's got a lot of good resources. There's a lot of stuff about building antennas on here, and this is also where I went to look for reviews when I bought my first, I guess, big boy radio that wasn't just a little handy talkie. And here I believe it is under ham exams right there. It's under resources and ham exams. And the nice thing about this one is there is no sign up, so if you don't want to sign up for a website or don't want to create a login and have to remember a password, this one you can just take the test as many times as you need to. It won't track your I guess your percentages, so you won't know how good you're doing overall like some of the other sites will, but it is a really good resource. The next one's hamexam.org. I didn't take very many practice exams here because this is one I found after I'd found the first three, and I was already passing all of these 100% of the time with no problem. And just a note, to pass an exam you need to get 26 out of 35 questions. It's not very hard, and like once you've taken these a few times, it's no big deal to pass it. This is another one I found after I'd taken the first three many times. Again, I didn't take very many tests here. It was about the same as all of them. The wording's a little different for each question, but the question and answers are the same. So It's a good way to practice, and it's a good way to make sure you see as many of them as you possibly can. This is aa9pw.com, and right here is their practice test exam. One of the resources that I probably used the most was this Ham Test Prep Android app, and I used it a lot. Like generally, if you're sitting waiting for a doctor's appointment, or you've got a free minute between, I don't know, if you're going to college and going to classes or whatever, it's really handy because you can just get on your phone, take a test. If you have to stop, just pause your phone or whatever, put it to black, and it's easy to do, easy to get back to. I think it does log your test scores as well, so you can see, this is what I'm missing, this is what I need to work on. And it was really handy to have because it's always in your hand. It's always right there. So if you've got a free minute, practice and just practice. I think I even took, 3 or 4 practice exams on this before I actually went to my exam the night of. So it does really help, and it is just another great way to study for it. Well, I hope you found this video helpful and informative. Another thing that really helped me was to go to my local ham club, and that's where I was able to schedule my test, but I also went to one of their meetings before I took my test, and you really do meet a lot of people there that are just willing to help. They're happy to help anybody that needs the help, and they are just a mountain of information. Another place that I found was really helpful, if you go to reddit.com and go to the amateur radio subreddit, I've asked several questions there, and within minutes you have an answer, and you've got it from several different sources. So you can really find out a lot of good info there, and I can't recommend them enough. It's really amazing how helpful the ham community is. So don't be afraid to ask questions. Like, there's been several times I've gotten on the radio and actually talked to another ham in my area, and he was able to answer any question I had about my radio or about something I was trying to do. So hope you liked the video. Please like, share, and subscribe, and we'll see you later.